Coming to you from the world where the Triforce Goddesses and the Random Number Gods collide, this is the Link to the Past Randomizer Fall Tournament in the bracket phases. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jix Reffi, and I'm joined by Rallin Tanker. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm excited to see a race between two very strong runners here. So, yeah.
Yep, we have quite a match for you today. We've got fylion and WaltherIV, two familiar runners to the Link to the Past Randomizer community. And if Walther's screen says anything, I think someone might have skipped pod in their first race.
It definitely looks like it, and that sometimes can come to hurt you. And yeah, seems like that was the case for fylion.
Yep, seems like that was the unfortunate case for fylion. So, but again, that's why we do a best of 3 here. Open mode was the first. Open mode was the first race between the two, and from what we've seen, fylion is still going to skip pod and had a false start. But also switched it up to standard mode, as you saw, because we started at Link's house at night.
But no harm done, fylion just reset, so we can start probably about any second now.
Yep. Just gonna be a few more seconds, and then, as always, good luck to both fylion and WaltherIV, and may the random number gods be in your favor. Just gotta wait for the stream delay to catch up it. There we go. There's our start.
And there's only one text box, apparently. So our uncle just informed us so, and we're starting out with blue mail.
Well, at least we'll have some safety going into this. I love how the Grumpelstiltskin sprite... Oh, hold on. Map check. Blue pendant at Eastern, red crystal at Desert, and normal crystal at Hera.
Pretty average ratio of pendants and crystals for the Light World.
Alright, so what's the item off of Uncle? Ooh. Brian, we found your cane! Or maybe the uncle's name is Brian. We never really thought about that.
And for checking out the prize pack of the guards, finding out that there are no bombs to get from those today.
Nope. What is the difference between the crystal colors? So in the original game, the 5-6 crystals were what opened up what we call the Pyramid Fairy. And so those 5-6 crystals allow us to be able to open that up. And since the crystals and the pendants are randomized, and also because this is 2019 and 1991, and there's this whole thing called color blindness, we make them red and put the numbers in so that way people have a better way to recognize what are the 5-6 crystals and what aren't.
Fairly small key already, so we will have a chance at least for bombs in the chests of in the Dark Cross.
Okay, apparently I said it's 2019 when it's 2020. Give me a minute. We're 3 days in. I'm still trying to catch up on that. Although I like chat saying that I'm streaming from the past. Very nicely done, chat.
You know, I wouldn't even have catched that if you weren't pointing it out. So you're probably not the only one happening there that happened to you.
So just the 20 bucks in the first chest that we have besides a small key. Both runners still kind of looking for bombs as they come across them, but gonna need to be careful with magic. Because there's that old nemesis, the key rat, that they're gonna have to deal with once they get into the sewers.
There are a few small magic refills on the way through the sewers, but you want to save as much magic as you possibly can. And since the guards don't have bombs in their prize pack, you don't really want to spend any magic on them at all.
Alright. Both runners are making their way back. Yeah, so there's going to be a couple pots. There's at least 2 pots in the first room behind the throne room. There's 1 pot that I know of right before the key rat room. So there's ways to get magic, but again, they're going to have to be careful with it given how little they've got to work with.
Yeah, so the question is, how much will they actually try to farm at the rats? There is the nice corner spot in the first room after the dark cross, the upper right, where there is quite a bunch of rats in a very close space there. So with the Cane of Burner you can do quite a few kills there with very small magic usage, but it's still not a good chance to get bombs there.
Yep, there's also the ropes here, because this will be a small corridor. And the thing about the Cane of Burna is it always pushes enemies up. So that's the one nice thing about it, is if an enemy gets hit with the Cane of Burna, it doesn't matter where they are, they're going to get pushed up, just like you saw with fylion there. But still no bombs.
Yeah, and that's something you could have known, since the snakes and the guards share the same prize pack. So if you determine the guards do not have bombs, those enemies won't also have them. But it does look like we won't get bombs at all, since the red prize pack does not contain bombs.
Nope. Walther's decide he's good and just gonna go on without getting the back 3 items in the back of escape. Fylyon's still searching, but pretty certain at this point that he's not gonna find them. So, although he's still trying, and now he's out of magic, so he's just gonna make his way out.
Yeah, so good thing here is it happened to both our runners, so there's no advantage to gain or lose from it. Because this would be an unfortunate case if there was something important here in the back and only one of our runners could have gotten access to it this early.
Yep. Well, the runners have made their way through Sanctuary, and now the world is the runner's oyster. So Walther is going to head into Lost Woods. 2 items to check in here. Also, we got bombs at the tree pole, so... which I think Fylyon's about to find out as well.
Yep. Sure makes your trip over to Kakariko much nicer if you have bombs to start with.
Yep.
Looks like Fylion isn't even interested in checking Lumberjack anymore.
No, I think he might have been going for the tree pole, which, as we saw with Walther, there is a tree pole in the Lost Woods. So.
Yeah, there's also the bush crab that's on the way up to Lumberjack, which he probably would have checked that way if the tree pole didn't have bombs. But there was no further need to.
Alright. 5 items in Blind's Hut. We got a heart container, moon pearl, another heart container, and a glove. So hey, quick access back to get those 3 items in the back of escape. And the single arrow.
But still 2 good items here. 2 very important items early on. We only need a hammer to get our Dark World access at this point, so...
Okay, piece of heart. Another piece of heart. Three piece of heart. Do I hear 4? No, arrows. But there's the 4th.
Yeah, so... heart container and 10 arrows in the well.
And we got a bomb vendor today instead of a bottle vendor. Alright, another heart container. This Kakariko is brought to you by Red Things. Red Things give you health, Red Things give you your true form in the Dark World, and sometimes also give you money. Red Things.
Well, they're putting that money to use. Find a few more bombs. Since we do not have magic anymore, or at least in Walter's case, there's no further magic right now. Having some bombs as weapon is nice, but that mirror is quite a bit nicer, I'd say.
It is a misnomer, though, that it's called the magic mirror, but you don't use magic with it.
Library check. Being only some bombs, we won't get back for those.
And bombs at the race game, so Walther says I'm good. Saves and quit.
And immediately checking the back of his cape, I'd imagine.
Yep. Uses said mirror to get a quick, make it quick through the sanctuary hall, and gonna check those 3 items in the back. So, what got left behind in Escape? A single rupee, a map, and $5. Pretty much the most worthless back of Escape I've seen.
Yeah, I think the only possible further insult would have been both single rupees there.
This is true. This is true. Phylion's about to get his disappointment. Walther, meanwhile, completely bypassing the dam and just going straight for mini Trolldorm Cave.
Yeah. Interesting decision here. It's not the most common way about it, but with the mirror, there's the chance to maybe combine the dam with your Swamp Palace check later down the road, or maybe just starting at Mini Moldum Cave and going from there all the way left over to Egina.
Mini Trolldorm Cave brought to you by Red Things, specifically a fire rod, which is useful right now, but without the bow to be able to get to Armos Knights really doesn't give us any progression at this point. Fylion, will you please stop? I'm trying to talk here.
Also, Walther does not have any magic right now to put that fire rod to use. But he at least didn't miss out on anything in the dam. Just art container and some other useless stuff.
Alright, well, Phylion's gonna get his fire rod here. And Ice Rod Cave gives us a whole bunch of cash.
Oh, and Walter deliberating, but deciding maybe fake flipper up to Zora now that we have the money is actually a good idea.
Yeah, wouldn't be bad. Tino Star in chat saying that's frozen assets. I see what you did there. Alright, so we got a sequence break here with the fake flipper check.
It will be interesting to see if fylion is following that route or decides to stay in logic for now. Oh.
Yeah, the thing about fake flippering is you take a hit, you get stuck, so in Randomizer we just kill you outright.
And not even getting to anything out of it, dying right before our check under that bridge. This is an unfortunate time loss for Walter.
Well, Phylion's looking like he's going to do the same fake flipper, so we will see if that actually works out, or who that works out for. Walther is going to do the dam, and I saw someone in chat earlier saying that this kind of makes sense if you're going to do a Gina next, which, if that's the case, you would assume Walther's going to head left after this.
Yeah, I think that was his intention first, but 300 out of Ice Rod Cave did change his mind, as he was intending to save and quit first.
Bush crabs given small magic pots. So Walther's going to use that to get some magic for his magical items. $5 and a piece of heart in the Waterfall of Wishing.
Nothing worth coming here for, but there's still Zora and... Ooh, that's a hammer here.
That is a hammer, and that is Dark World access. Got another piece of heart. Be interesting to see if Walther tries to fake flipper again now that he has the mirror to be able to get across.
I can't imagine. You just got Dark World access, you might just well get over to what was known as Hype Cave and... Oh god, that can be painful at this point.
That's also very interesting. Because that's now gonna send Fylion away from the hammer. Alright, Dark World. Pod, green pendant, ice palace, red pendant, other 5/6 crystal at swamp.
This will be really interesting. Now with that mirror in the midst, there's quite a good chance that Fylion will still get comparatively soon to his hammer, as if he decides to take on that Smith chain, he would now be able to. He will be getting close there, but Walter might leave behind those myths for quite a long time. If he gets flippers early.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty major divergence that we've got. I mean, well, both runners are probably going to end up at Thieves Town. You'll have the whole question of, does the Thieves Town Big Chest have something? Both runners can get into Skullwoods. It's really kind of a matter of, the mitts open up one set of checks. the hammer opens up a different set. So it'll be very interesting to see how both runners play with the one piece of the puzzle that the other doesn't have. Blaine pointing out in chat, and I think this makes sense, Walther kind of needs flippers to show up to kind of lead him to Zora, and fylion will kind of be hoping for Flute, because with that combination that he has, that will lead him towards Desert and Mire, which would hopefully lead him to Agina's Cave.
He is starting out his trip in the Dark World by checking in front of Skullwoods, though. He would probably like to do the back already if he would have had a sword, but without that he cannot find Mothula at this point.
He can't fight Mothula, but the one item check, the one chest in there would be accessible. Now, whether or not he actually does that is a matter unto itself, but it is logically accessible. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't cut the curtain, but the chest isn't logic.
Yeah, there is that one chest under the bridge that you can reach, but it's a very, very long walk up to there, and it's not even sure to hold an item at any point. So making that way over there is something you will not often see any runner do if they aren't desperate.
But I believe we're going to see a convergence on the northwest side of Dark World, even with the difference in Dark World access.
Yeah, since Village of Outcasts is pretty much in logic by getting normal Dark World access, it still does make sense. Without the bow, the way over to Pod is not really the first thing on your mind, since you might just be locked out of the dungeon pretty soon. But all the checks here and the majority of Thieves' Town already accessible and in logic, so...
Yep. Really, the only difference here is because Walther has the hammer, he'll be able to get to the item at the Thieves' Town big chest. Whether or not there is actually progression there will yet to be seen. Both runners, because they have the Cane of Burna, means they have a means to kill blind, so that won't be an issue.
And fylion the first being in Thieves' Town, Walther following closely after, and we start out with a map. Not something you want to see right off the bat in Thieves' Town.
Nope. You want to see items. You want to try to have as much of the dungeon items in the back to give you the best chance of the big chest not needing anything.
10 arrows are at least an item, but no progression and not really helpful at all.
And there's the big key, which had to be in one of the first 4 chests.
And another item.
Key. So that's 2.
And fylion, taking out the mirror and deciding to leave. Understandable at this point. There are still 2 items in the back, and you do not have the hammer.
It is a gamble. It is certainly a gamble. We will see. I mean, he's going to have to complete it anyway because it's a crystal. It's really just a question of, is there progression in the back that can prevent fylion from moving on ahead?
Yeah, but in his mind, he is still Hype Cave open and a few more checks that he might just find the hammer in and can then return. Maybe even with the sword to finish out Skullwoods. at the same time.
So for those asking in chat, Titan's mitts were at Zora, which is why fylion has those. Walther got sniped trying to do a fake flipper, so then he went to Agina's cave, which is where the hammer was. And that is where the difference is in this race right now.
fylion just getting a lot of money back on the digging game, so...
Hey, those were very expensive mitts.
Yeah. Can't blame him for grabbing every rupee he can find.
And if you're not going to skip pod, that's a $110 fee to get in. Alright, compass in the attic. So that means if we see an item on the maiden cell, that means the small key is in the big chest. Thus, we logically need the hammer to finish Thieves Town. But more importantly, no item needed... No items stuck on the big chest. That would have been a problem, even though fylion skipped out.
On the other hand, if there's a small key in the maiden's chest, there... We know that there is an item in the big chest that fylion would have skipped out on if continued.
Yep, because we've seen all the other dungeon items, which means both blind and the big chest would have an item, but we're about to find out. Survey says key in the big chest.
So fylion would have been safe if moving on, but there was no way to know until you check.
And honestly, unless blind has progression, I don't think it's really going to hurt fylion all that much to skip Thieves Town until he has the hammer. But we'll know once Walther takes care of blind.
fylion did find another 300 rupees though in K45 just now, and another 20 off of Stumpy, so he has recovered from his expensive pay at Zora and has now enough money to spend.
Walther, meanwhile, gotta be careful. Only 3 hearts for this blind fight, but staying on script, down to 2. Now he's going to pull out the cane and finish it off that way. And down goes blind. Blue boomerang for your troubles, so skipping out on Thieves Town was not the bad choice for fylion. fylion getting arrows at the purple chest and unfortunately leaves.
Yeah, so for him it's really... Or he would really like to have the flute now. Probably to get to those checks desert faster.
Alright, so we're gonna get the ether and the swag net here that Walther got earlier. Walther finishes up Thieves Town and now gonna make his play for Skullwoods. And fylion says no mas.
Yeah, for fylion, pod isn't even in logic at this point, as you have no logical way over to the East Dark Walls. But we know that it would actually be a valid choice to search for further progression here, and looks like fylion is about to check out the eastern area for now.
Yep, gonna go check on good old Sahasrara. Alright, what 3 items do we have here? We have $50, $20, and a bee in a bottle.
So our first bottle opening up another check in Kakariko. We can find out what is Sickle holding on in this seat.
Finally, I'm going to keep going and head into Eastern.
It is a pendant, so we might not need to finish it at all. And since we do not have the bow, we wouldn't be able to at this point, but still we can grab at least 2, possibly all 3 items out of here.
Yep.
And on the fylion side, we are kind of out of checks that are in logic aside from Agina at this point. So it does make sense to at least suspect maybe some progression in here.
Well, I mean, other than Graveyard Ledge, which they both can do, Hammer Pegs, which logically is available even though fylion doesn't have a hammer, and Pod, I mean, fylion does not have many checks left, so this makes sense. I mean, there's 3 possible locations here. It's the most item-dense place he has left. First one is a Peace Heart.
It's basically either the eastern area, which combined with Srala could have had up to 6 items, and the one-off checks like Agina, Graveyard Ledge, and the Smith Chain. Now, Pots, while we know is in logic, it's not for fylion right now. So would make sense that he wasn't initially searching there.
Red Marine, Graveyard Ledge. I mean, honestly, if we don't find anything in Eastern, I think that's probably the best situation for fylion, because it's going to kind of force him to go check Agina's cave.
I mean, there would then, or I think he would probably finish out Thieves Down then and there, and combine that with the Smith Chain leading him down to that check, I'd assume. So you can just route quite a few checks there together.
Walther, meanwhile, is going to do a sequence break into Death Mountain.
Yeah. From Walter's perspective, it's now the question of what's the next kind of progression, as he does not have the mids opening up a few times. Alright. Yeah.
Last check we can do in Eastern. Compass.
And with my not really working memory, I already forgot that fylion already did the Smith Chain. Great. Yeah, so Agina is really in isolated location for him. Makes more sense.
Yeah, it happens. No worries.
Yeah.
Alright. fylion, what you gonna do now?
Probably Thieves Down. Still 2 items. It is a crystal, so you have to do it at some point. He can chain. So he could do Graveyard Edge after that, but there he won't find boots there, because those were spotted by Walther. And there was also the first sword, right, to grab there over on Spackrock.
So that sequence break wise opens up Goldwoods to finish up. Also gets the other flanctuary locations done. Yeah, Walther, you kind of need that sword. I would say you don't want to save and quit there, bud.
And it looks like fylion is actually taking that fire rod over to the one more check he has over here in Skull Woods. So this might be an unfortunate time loss over here, although we still need logical access to that mountain. We did not see the lamp or the flute on both of our runners, so maybe, just maybe, there's a possibility that this is actually something that can put fylion back on the right path.
Well, let's see what it is. Nope.
Nope.
Alright, map first item in Hera.
And
Small key. So, time for a coffee break on Walther's side.
Yeah, no hot shot means we have no means to get around that right now.
Walther deciding not to go the coffee break option, instead gonna do a little dash in place, keep the sword in place, and just take out the tiles the old-fashioned way.
Maybe not the type to do a coffee break, but rather doing a short workout here. You know, up to personal preference what you do in those few seconds you have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fylion going to Graveyard Ledge, which will get him his red meringue. Walther gonna get the big key in its vanilla spot, and then head up for the rest of Hera. Chat pointing out that he didn't want to item swap off a Fire Rod. Which, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's not much time, but it's still time you lose doing that. And Graveyard Edge having the red boomerang for us.
Compass there, so that means the big chest and Trolldworm have your 2 items today. Walther is trying to set up that bomb jump. Gets it done, and a piece of heart.
So now fylion heading back over to Thief's Town to finish that. And I think at that point he will be out of checks to do in logic. So he can single out that hammer. But there's still Sicket.
Alright, Sick Kid gonna give us $20. fylion is going to go ahead and finish Thieves Town. We know Big Chest doesn't have anything, and there isn't any... All we have is the blue boomerang on Blind. $20 on Floating Island, and we're going to get the fast version of Spiral Cave.
So while Walther is early here on Death Mountain, he will be only able to check the light world side of East Death Mountain. When fylion will get up here, he will be able to check both East and East Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, at this point, Phylion's probably... I mean, other than Aeginus Cave... I mean, other than, like, a sequence break to Death Mountain, I really don't... Like, Aeginus Cave is kind of what he's kind of forced into after that.
Yeah, and even the sequence break up to Death Mountain isn't really a very attractive prospect for fylion right now, as he would be only able to do the Old Man and what's inside of what's up to Hera. He wouldn't be able to get any items out of East Death Mountain so far.
Which, other than Bombos and And 3 pending. Other than Bombos, nothing on the east side.
So it does look like our logic progression is somewhere on the East Death World, East Dark World. So somewhere at Port, maybe in the front.
Or hammer pegs. I mean, put their logical differences together. Hammer pegs is the other thing that would have some sort of progression.
Yeah, and that is then probably followed up by something that is locked behind that those myths. So possibly something in King's Tomb that Walter cannot check right now. At least not from the light world here. He would be able to check it if he decides to head over to the dark world and then mirror.
Okay, bombs at a lumberjack ledge, so no need to do Aghanim today.
fylion running low on magic on that blind fight and has no second weapon.
So he unfortunately has to back out.
This is unfortunate. So it is possible to do that fight with just one full magic bar, but fylion unfortunately didn't get to efficiently use his cane. So no chance to bail out, and that will at least lead him to his hammer.
Certainly looks like it. This is the only thing really he could be doing, going this direction.
The other hand, Walther with now one sword in his inventory decides to take on Mothula and can collect that second crystal.
Alright. There's Phylion's hammer. We'll see where he heads after this. This might be the Death Mountain play for Fylion. Or not.
It would be now the possibility to do check or to do the blind without magic, as he now has the hammer. He can also do hammer packs.
Speaking of which, Walther's going with hammer strats to try to take care of Mothula. Alright, there we go.
Yeah, it looks like fylion is indeed taking that refight instantly.
So that big key, I think, is going to have our second item in Skullwoods. Because we saw Fylion get this chest here, which I think was a compass.
Yep. This was the compass right here.
Chat asking, does hammer pegs have to have something? No. Pod is still accessible right now. So, hammer pegs... So at this point, we know the sword and the boots are sequence broke, and bombos, actually. Those three things are sequence broken behind either the flute or the lamp for Death Mountain. And right now, in terms of the logical checks we have left, we have hammer pegs, and we have pod.
Also, do we have seen pyramid and catfish? Since the hammer does allow us to check both of those.
Alright, $20, second item in Skullwoods.
So,
Yes, Titans were in Logic. They were on Zora. The first glove was in Kakariko, so the Titans mitts are for certain in Logic. Sorry, Rowan, didn't mean to step on you there.
just was seeing fylion heading over to hammer pegs, so we will find out if there's something here right now.
Yep.
Just a heart container.
King's Tomb is also in Logic. Well, no, it's not in Logic because
It is logic. The mitts oh no, both. Oh, yeah.
But half magic was there.
Well,
Yeah.
logic or not, that's certainly something nice to see.
Yep, certainly helpful.
I mean, in the end, logic is something that is good to know, but not always good to follow.
Yeah, it helps in terms of trying to understand what the seed is, where the seed is could place stuff. And we got a Dark World swim glitch. And Walther, I think, is going to do Catfish and Zora, and I think get his Titans mitts.
Yeah. Usually that glitch is used as a sequence break to do not have to do Aga 1 as access to these Dark World, but here it was just done for routing conveniences, since Catfish is actually a check in logic. Just the way we got there is a tad bit unusual.
And
that's the Master Sword.
Sword of the Stones today.
So that's now our logical way to kill Mortula before going up the mountain, but that didn't lead up to anything. And Walther is taking that opportunity to collect his mitts.
Alright, so both are about to get their useful items. And we got those Titans mitts for Walther.
So it will be interesting where he will take those right now, because there is actually not much that is in logic right now that they open up. We could do Ice Palace, but without the Clipper. That is not in logic. The rest of the mountain is not in logic until we find Flute or Lamp. So for Walther, it's really only the Smith Chain, which didn't hold on to anything. And looks like he's more inclined to just follow his file name and finally get check of first the Pyramid, but then probably Palace of Darkness.
I mean, Pyramid Ledge and Pod are pretty much the only checks we have left. Fylion checked Eastern. Wasn't really anything over there other than a bottle. Walther ran so fast I couldn't see what was on the pyramid ledge, but looks like it's not something he's going to pick up.
I couldn't really catch that. I was, or I believe there was something red, but yeah, looks like Chad is actually beckons up on there being a big 20 on the pyramid edge.
So into pod Walther goes. Might he mirror and yep, mirror and checks a Hostrala. So what could be in pod?
Flute or lamp were first choices, of course. Leading us up to the mountain to have more checks. Flippers are an option to allow us to check Ice Palace. And the front of Swamp Palace also would then be an option.
That's
And,
about it, I think.
I mean, the book still for tablets as
Tablets and desert.
yeah, but well, the second sword wouldn't be in logic if we only find the book right now.
And someone's finally not skipping pod, as his file name implies. Although, I mean, honestly, the way the logic is setting up, there's going to have to be progression in pod.
Yeah, but
did we? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, if it's just the lamp here that is the logical progression here needed in pod, then fylion would be absolutely fine just skipping that. There is still the Super Bunny Cave and the first chest in Hookshot Cave that would be in logic at that point here up on the mountain to have further progression.
Had a misfire on that bomb trying to get the floor. Toot toot! There's the flute!
Yep, and that unfortunately is not something we can skip in this seed. Misery Mire being a crystal does require us to get that at some point.
So that will give us access to desert. It gives us access to check the mire area and snaps the logic back into place with that sword, boots, and bombos on the mountain.
Yeah.
So, because of Fire Rod, these two checks are available. So, powder for Magic Bat, and book for... Well, either way, you were getting into desert.
Yep, but now you can also check the Bombos tablet and the Ether tablet to add an additional check to either of those areas. And of course, the powder might just hold on to another item. With the hammer, mids, mirror, we have all the ways to get over to the bed.
Walther's setting up a hammer yump. fylion, gonna go ahead and check Dark Death Mountain. Right now we can only do the first check of Super Bunny Cave, or the first check of Hookshot Cave, sorry, and then the 2 items in Super Bunny Cave.
But doing the check of Paradox Cave first.
Alright, so if Big Key is not here, it's in the Bowlock side. Walther trying to make his way up. And that is the Big Key. And there's the... Oh, boy! You really do not want to skip pod today.
Nope. This was just your here, finish Misery Maya set. And yeah, we might also take this way into Turtle Rock right now if our medallions are allowing us to do so.
Alright. Walther's going to activate that flute. Fylion, meanwhile, getting Quake.
So now we can definitely do both our medallion dungeons.
And there's another sword in Hookshot Cave.
Quick floating island check for Fylion. Nothing too important. No need to check the Turtle Rock medallion. Fylion has all three. But without the cane, no way to do anything in there, so I'll add over to Spy Cave.
Walther gonna go turn in the B for a potion, which I think means a Meyer play.
It's at least a possibility to do Desert and get a look at Meyer. For Walther, it could still be Quake locking him out of that dungeon. But at least getting the information about that is valuable.
And it is Quake for Meyer, so that is the one thing that may help Fylion right now, is that the one medallion Walther could use to get into Meyer is up on Dark Death Mountain. Now, that said, Death Mountain is in play, and Turtle Rock is available for everything but Trinex. So it wouldn't surprise me if Walther heads that way soon.
Without the flippers, bringing Ice Palace into logic, and giving us the ability to do Swamp Palace, there's really not much else left for Walther. So, doing Desert first, get that crystal out of the way. We'll probably head up the mountain next.
Chad also pointing out Walther still has Smith Chain to do, which does not have any anything in it.
Yeah, and it's 3 items that you can grab kinda fast, but it's still just 3 items on Death Mountain also, and then there's the full Turtle Rock on top of it. And we know going up there will even open up the 2 in Meyer.
Alright, so Fylion is going to go finish up Skullwoods. Walther is on his way to finish off Lamulus.
Oh, with half magic, landmoders. Not a very, very hard fight with that fire rod.
Nope.
You need 6 shots to land. You have plenty of spares if you miss. Just get it over with.
And that is crystal number 4 for Walther.
The other hand, fylion now only modular fight. Starts with a spin. And then making use of the fire rod. Combination with the sword.
fylion having a much quicker fight with Mothula, given he had Master Sword. Walther using Hammer since he only had Fighter Sword at the time.
Walther fallen. fylion into desert here. Checking out the big chest.
Yep. There's Bo.
And now everything of pot will be in logic as soon as we find the lamp. But our runners will not need that anymore, and having gotten that bow.
And there's Flippers.
So, no Death Mountain for Walther just yet, I assume. Maybe hoping to locate the Ice Rod before you head up there, or the Quake.
Nope, he's going right for it.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I forgot he does not have the hookshot, and without the hookshot doing a swamp play, nah, scratch that. Death Mountain's still better.
Now that hook shot, it can be on the pedestal.
That is true, and we would have the means to check it, at least Walther would. And looks like fylion will finally forget his file name and do the thing that has to be done.
$50 on Ether Tablet. Now the question is, once he finds Flute, is he gonna keep going? Because Kane is in the big chest.
There are 5 items for you to grab in Turtle Rock, at least, if you count Mimic Cave. And possible 6 if it is not on Trinex. The chance that one of those is the hookshot is not that small, so it's no easy choice to just leave it behind at this point. I mean, your other options are 2 items in Mire, the front half of Swamp without the hookshot, and an Ice Palace which may have the hookshot depending on the key logic in certain spots or not at all.
Alright, Walther gonna get his Quake here. And also get his Tempered Sword. This is for those that are just joining us, this is standard mode. We had Kane of Burner to start. We had a bit of a divergence as Hammer was at Aegina's Cave, Titan's Mitts were at Zora, And both runners have kind of been... Their plays have kind of been based off of which of the two they had. Walther is gonna go ahead and go into Turtle Rock.
Yep. 5 items, possibly 6 for you to grab here. And you're still looking for the hookshot and the ice rod, so... You hope to find either one of them in here. If it's the ice rod, no harm done, you just finished the dungeon. If it's the hookshot, well... You probably had to do this anyway to find the hookshot over in Swamp.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to if hookshot is here, did you need the hookshot to get the ice rod? Because that's really kind of what's left in the logic. Heart container and big key, so now we know 2 small keys will be in the other 2 chests here on the first floor. Oh! Walther getting hit by the Bari, so gonna have to do this again.
And this feels so painful when you kinda see it coming. When the enemy is looming there just where you want to get off, but you cannot really do anything about it.
Fylion getting the big key and making his way back. And instead, just nopes. And I guess gonna hammer Yump again.
He did not check the big key chest yet, so he does not have his flute.
Oh.
That's what he's checking right now.
Please go back to that big chest.
He's on the way.
Well, he's gonna get his flute here, but is he gonna still go back? There's the flute. Mirror, please keep going up. Go up. Yes, he does.
So, potential trouble averted.
So we're going to hammer you up again, and we'll get his cane. Walther checking vanilla in Turtle Rock just gets $300. Fylion has his cane.
Yeah, and also should now have the logic. Both that cane and the flute should be locked by a bow that should be accessible without it. As there seem to be 2 small keys on the bow locked side, as we saved the one for the from the hammer jump, and still need one for the boss.
Yep. So Walther probably do Mimic Cave and Big Chest, but ladies and gentlemen, at this time, to honor High Roll, please join us. Fylion will play the National Swag Deck Anthem. And the Hawk's about to rock. We salute you.
On the other side, Mimic Cave didn't come up with anything useful. Walther heading further in. Get a shovel.
Shovel on the big chest.
Just something you could check on the way over to Swamp Palace.
Does that shovel have a hook shot or an ice rod? If the ice rod is on shovel, that's just cruel.
Wouldn't have been the first time I've seen that.
True. Now, without the lamp, this is a sequence break here for Walther.
Yeah, but really at this point, the lamp is not needed anymore. You have your fire source for the fire rod. The way through this dark room in Turtle Rock here is pretty easy.
Alright. So far, nothing. And nothing in Laser Bridge, which means this could have been avoided.
Okay, yep. There's just a small key here. And we are out.
Now, I say that, and then remind myself, that shovel could have one of the two progression items we need.
Yep. We will see. But I think Walter was maybe... No. Taking the shovel.
Yep, he's gonna check it.
Wanting to see instantly if that trip up to Turtle Rock was necessary or not.
Alright. Shovel dash, strike the earth.
So no matter what you did, this sequence was necessary.
Oh. Randomizer just is sometimes just cruel.
So I didn't fully pay attention to if we saw everything in Turtle Rock up till this point, but this might not be over just yet. Because this hookshot is still missing, and if Tronics is holding on an item...
Well, you have to imagine Phylion's gonna do Mire right after Desert.
Definitely. You hope to find hookshot or ice rod before you go up to Turtle Rock to avoid having to double dip Turtle Rock as much as you can.
Fylion gonna get his bow. And the third X giving us 300 bits for that ice rod shovel. So thank you very much for that bit donations.
Yep, and Fylion sure just taken over the trip to Misery Mire with the Quake already in hand. Makes perfect sense, and
still needs to get those flippers off of Checkerboard Cave.
Can do that after this though. And Walther gets an early big key here, but with that hookshot still on large. Not taking the trip over to Vitris just yet.
Yeah, we are on a hunt for the hook shot, and I remind again, it can be on the pedestal.
With a little caveat, as there is something called key logic that in Ice Palace could possibly prevent it from being there.
Yes. Well, actually, no, with the cane, So the one thing is that you have to have at least one small key and the Cane of Samaria on the on the left side of Ice Palace. As long as there's one small key, I believe the hookshot can be on the pedestal.
Yes. There's... I think if the big key is on the left side and that makes one small key, there's a... No.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's one... I think it's... I'm trying to remember.
Ice Palace is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Alright, there's sticks on the big chest. So that's... I'm assuming that's both items, because Walther's not even bothering with that chest. Yeah, must have been. Oh, rupees were the other item in Meyer. Alright, so the one thing we have to keep in mind going forward with the rest of the race. It looks like both runners are even. The thing is that the shovel is in the big chest in Turtle Rock, and that leads to the ice rod. So fylion has 2 trips into Turtle Rock that he has to complete. Walther has already done one of them. So even though it looks like both runners are neck and neck with each other, Walther has an advantage by already having to do one of the 2 dips into Turtle Rock. Now, he has more checks to do in the overworld, trying to find that hook shot like Smith Chain. So there's... It's still anybody's race, but Walther has a bit of an advantage in terms of how much you have to sink into to get to the ice rod. And this, this is probably the second hardest dark room in the game. Aga is the worst. But honestly, once you get past this first room, pretty easy from here.
Yeah, the thing about the first room is that you have to nail the Samaria block on the switch, which is in a position that is not really easy to pinpoint in the dark, as it's somewhere in the middle of the room. And you have no real indicator to perfectly see where it is. The rest of the rooms are rather static, with some of the things you use or need to use shown up, so you can make your way through those rather easy.
And without silvers, time for one of the hardest bosses in the game in Vitreous.
But we have an arrow for an comparatively early second phase. We have a tempered sword on Walter's side. To use a damage boost, get into the ice and use a spin attack on quite a few of those, which makes this fight still quite fast.
Just gonna pull out the bow to finish that off, and then 8 arrows into the big eyeball, and down goes Vitreous.
Finally now going for the same tactic on only having an only Master Sword, which does a little bit less damage, but still strats work nonetheless.
do wonder if fylion is going to get Tempered Sword, because Tempered Sword is that catfish.
And Walther heading over to Ice Palace in search of the hookshot, so he wants to know, can it be here? Can it be on pedestal? Nope.
Well, he also
Want to check
didn't
first.
do... No one's done Hobo yet. Or check that island, which has a heart container. fylion is gonna go check Checkerboard Cave and get his flippers. Now, Walther had a unfortunate fake flipper death earlier in the Grace, and just missed out on a big 20. And now this will be the play for Ice Palace, as fylion will join Walther in Ice Palace.
Walther does not want to, and fylion is gonna check Hobo first.
Oh, right. Walther didn't have flippers, so couldn't do waterfall checks, as fylion did his through a fake flipper.
Yep.
Alright, so let's try this again. Walther, where are you gonna go? He's going to Eastern and Pod. Or at least Eastern. Maybe both. I don't know. I'm trying to guess what he's doing, and he just keeps proving me wrong.
Yeah, this is Eastern though, which he hasn't done yet, but fylion did. At least all the way to Big Chest and to Big Key Chest. Since he did not have the bow, he wasn't able to finish it.
Alright. Finally, I'm going to check Magic Bat. We know that doesn't have anything.
And I saw a question about the bow that we found in Desert Palace, of that being lamp-locked, and it is not, as the book that was needed to grab that bow in Logic was in a dark room, but in a dark room that we could light up a torch with the fire rod with, so...
And with the advanced logic, that means that room is accessible.
Yeah.
It also means Armos Knights is accessible because the big key was in the front, not in its vanilla location, and the fire rod will allow you to get through that room illuminated, as we shall say.
And looks like fylion is on the way to do what has to be done and get that first trip up to Turtle Rock out of the way.
Alright, so we got Ice Palace left for the hook shot and the lamp, technically, but the lack of lamp is not bothering either runner.
Nope.
Hook shot can't be a Pyramid Fairy because of the 5/6 crystal. Lamp could. Yeah, lamp could. Lamp could be there. Although it depends on hook shot location, actually.
Yep.
So we got Swamp and Ice and Pedestal, and think that's it. I think we've checked everything else. Bombos Tablet, we haven't checked Bombos Tablet.
Yeah, as for the lamp, that could not be on pedestal itself, as Pillars of Darkness being a pendant actually hard requires the lamp at some point.
But here we go. Phylion's gonna head in, get that shovel, and hopefully we'll then go get his ice rod. And as you can see, literally and figuratively, that's how that room is now accessible with the fire rod and the advanced logic. An hour and a half in, or getting close there, and this is still kind of close, depending on where the hookshot is. But fylion and Walther had a great first race and given us a great second one, so please be sure to give both of them a follow on Twitch for the entertaining race that they're giving us today. Alright, let's see what the Armos Knights have. Sets up the quick kill. And just gets sticks back for killing the Armos Knights with sticks.
So this was not it. And it's back to the decision, Ice or Swamp? Or do you do the rest of Overworld that you did not until now?
Walther? Okay, Walther, if you don't go into Ice Palace this time, I have no idea what you're doing.
I mean, he could just buy arrow upgrades to refill, but then he would take this portal.
Chat bringing up a good point. You could finish off Helmassar, but realistically at this point, what's in Ice Palace kind of tells you what's in Pod, because you still need the lamp to get to Helmassar. Even with the fire rod in that one room, the first room doesn't have a torch, so you do logically need the lamp. So if the lamp is here,
then we could talk about the green pendant.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a big key in the front, so this might open up the possibility for hookshot being on the pedestal. So we will have to find that big key to get 2 colds there for the logic.
Oh yeah, and Swamp is still open.
And Walther apparently checking out the right side of Ice Palace instantly.
Mm-hmm. He will need to do a bomb jump here. Now, this could still be in logic. If there's a small key in the freezer room, technically with the big key, that also would allow a small key in the big chest or in the iced tea room. Small keys in one of those 3 places. These 3 checks Walther's about to do will be in logic.
Although that would... I mean, can it really know what the big key already found? As we are searching for the hookshot, I think in every other case this would... Well, at least here's a bow.
Yeah, at least you got silver arrows.
So, if I'm actually remembering the logic right here, in search for the hookshot, these plays are actually not correct right now for Walther, as this right side here should be hookshot locked in any case now.
And there's fire shield, so that's 2 of the 3 items. fylion still making his way to the making his way to the laser bridge.
Walther now back to a spot where the hookshot can be, as Ice Tea Room is always accessible if you have access to Ice Palace itself. Here's the small key, so Cold Stare would be a possible option.
Chat is saying though that this is a hookshot locked pod based on those 2 keys. I'll be honest, I don't. There's times I think I understand the Ice Palace logic, and then there's now where I doubt that I know the Ice Palace logic.
Well, we had a hookshot lock the right side, I believe, since we found the big key with or without the small, or yeah, not on the right side.
Well, either way, Cold Stare has the last item.
Yeah. So.
Okay, chat saying the boss is... Well, okay, I knew the boss was not hookshot locked. The 3 items, so Silvers and the red shield, were hookshot locked.
Right. But with the Cane of Samaria and the small key found, that if we spend it on the right side, we could have gotten back. Cold Stare would be in logic without the hookshot.
And this doesn't necessarily have to be something, because it also could be in Swamp, but get Cold Stare in a corner, hit him with some Tempered Sword slashes.
And fylion is making the play back to Trinix instantly.
Oh! Bee in a bottle! Or a fairy in a bottle, excuse me.
And is immediately changing back, and apparently also heading over to Ice Palace.
Yeah, I think fylion has the right idea. Trinix has an item. You know it's lamp locked. Try to save Trinix until you have to.
On the other hand, you had that unfortunate death to blind already early in the game. Also, you left your hammer behind for quite a bit. So, how confidently can you say you are ahead, or how far you would imagine you are behind? And is this the time to maybe make a Hail Mary gamble here?
So so Bombo's tablet. It could be either lamp or hookshot, but I think it has to be one of those 2 things. So if it's hookshot, it's go mode for Walther. If it's lamp, then we still have some searching to do. Hookshot would open up Swamp. Lamp could be in Swamp, I think. But here we go. What do we got? 1 hour, 33 minutes, 20 seconds. Walther the Fourth is in go mode.
So now that hookshot enables us to get that bow out of Ice Palace. But either way, the logic chain of this seed that was required to do is something why we don't really want to follow it. It's just something helpful to maybe get an inkling about where certain items are.
Walther is going to be at a big advantage here with Tempered Sword and Silvers. Now, Phylion's going to get those Silvers, but if he goes to Catfish to get Tempered Sword, that's just going to honestly probably put him further behind the pace of Walther at this point.
Also, is he really going over to the Silvers? If he's only looking for a shot and...
Oh, he was
maybe now
trying to set up to do the bomb jump. Or at least it looked like it. So, at this point, Walther's just go moding Swamp, head for Trinex, get him taken care of, and then head to GT. And assuming no other shenanigans occur, most likely Walther will get his second win and move on to the next stage in the brackets.
Tempered and Silvers already, no need to even check even one more chest, even if it's this close here in Waterfall Room, so heading straight on. Nothing to gain from fighting with Gold Sword.
Now, pretty much at this point, Butter Sword helps. Butter Sword could help, but honestly, you can one-shot all the enemies in the gauntlet. You can still one-cycle Ganon Phase 1 and 2.
You do not have to do Silverless at all.
Nope. Walther just mows down those puffballs and doesn't even bother with Silvers, just gets ready for the Fire Rod. Quick kill, but doesn't get it. Ooh. And that's crystal number 6.
One more dungeon left for Walther, of which he has done already most of it and just has to run through it again. Which is a bit feeling in and of itself, but the second trip through Turtle Rock is actually not that long anymore, as you can basically skip all the stuff that costs much time.
Alright. back into Turtle Rock we go. Required double dip and all.
No way around this one. Fylion. Oh, looks like he's back on the way to maybe do
Eastern.
Pod or Eastern.
Well, Pod also, I would assume. Obviously, Lamp can't be on Helmassar. Even
But
with the advanced logic.
Is still
oh, he's
none of those. Go ahead.
I don't think he ever did Pyramid.
It
Might
certainly
also
doesn't seem like it. I mean, Fylion had the successful fake flipper attempt, and therefore had no need to combine Catfish at any point with these hour areas, so never felt the need to get over here. And we'll be getting this tempered sword finally, but still not the hookshot.
Yep.
The other hand, Walther, done with the second trip through Turtle Rock, can now resume to do stuff that he didn't do on in here and fight Trinex.
Yep. Alright, both Trinex heads are down. And a very quick kill on Trinex. So just waiting for the explosions to go off. Waiting just a few more seconds, and then there are 22 locations where that Ganon's Tower big key can be in the basement of Ganon's Tower. If you want to play in our guessing game, you need to guess the number between 1 and 22. Haven't subscribed to one of our 6P gaming channels, or, well, actually, there's no bot, so no subscribing necessary. You just put a little number in there. So, Rowland Tanker, what'd you guess?
God. And I know that there actually is a bot now, but I forgot where the starting command is, and I don't know.
That's fine. Oh, well.
Found it already.
Found it already, so get those guesses in rather quick, like. Alright, number 1 is a small key. Walther going left. Number 2, 10 arrows. 3, compass. 4, key. 5, key.
Was a key, but not the big one that we are looking for.
Number 6. 20 bucks. 7, 20 bucks.
Oh god. I'm seeing lots of blue.
Yeah, that is not good. All right, number 8. $20, 9. $50, 10. $20, 11. $1. Mirrors back. Continues left. Okay, so you're noticing a pause here. So before the race, from what fylion said, he accidentally spilled something before the race started, and apparently fylion believes some of that got into his. Okay, Walther. Okay. Some of that got into fylyon's SNES, or that's at least what he believes. And so because of that, you're noticing the blue screen because his SNES is got a bit of a cold. So unfortunately at this point, fylion has forfeited, which means Walther just has to finish it out, and he moves on to the next round. So at this point, Walther just has to finish the race, and he moves on. $12 bombs, 13 cash, 14 bombs, 15 map,
Are we already at 17?
16. Oh no, yeah, you're right. That was 16. Because I always forget about that one chest in the fire snake room.
Well, there should be 18 coming up. Walter didn't skip anything at this up until this point.
Sorry, I got 18 blue potions. Sorry, because of the situation with fylion, I lost count. So you're correct. That's 18. 19, 20, and 21 coming up. $19 bloopy, 20 rupee, 21. Oh, ho, ho!
Okay. I'd imagine I know where the Wiki is now.
And there's the big key.
That looks like a genuine 22.
So I don't know how to pronounce that, but Wizith3K was the one who guessed 22 first. So we're gonna go with that. I honestly don't know how to pronounce that name, so we're gonna go with that. And with that, Walther is going to make his way to the gauntlet. Alright, so because of the unfortunate technical difficulties with fylion, and also because we have another race coming in hot after this one finishes, we are gonna go ahead and bring in fylion and Walther the Fourth for their interviews. GG's, gentlemen.
Yo, congrats, Walter.
Yo, GG's. I'm sorry about your hardware.
You know what? That happens. I'm going to keep this quick, because Walter should actually talk about his routing and methods and stuff. But I should tell everyone what happened. Basically, as Jack said, something got spilled on my SNES, and then you saw it started getting fuzzy like it was the 90s, and then at some point it just stopped running. I still had audio, but I couldn't do anything, and obviously I couldn't see anything. I'm figuring out if it's just my SNES or my SD to SNES, but what I want to shout out is the half to me and said, hey, I can send you a SNES or I can bring you one for GDQ next week. I think that really speaks to the community of people I'm in, that I got so many amazing offers. So thank you all so much. I'm going to turn it over to Walter and the others now. But Walter, best of luck in the tournament, man.
Thanks, dude, and have fun at GDQ, dude.
Absolutely, and thank you, fylion, for the race. And once again, everyone, please be sure to give both fylion and Walther's follows on Twitch. What was really interesting about this race was the fact that it was kind of the way Dark World Access set up, because Walther, you died on you died trying to do the fake flipper, which led
for some
you
reason
to
I
get the
thought, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, for some reason I thought I had flippers when I was doing that. So I was expecting to start walking on the shallow water, and I didn't, and it just caught me off guard and got hit by arrow. But yeah, this seed had a ton of traps that you can isolate stuff everywhere. You could easily isolate the mitts, the hookshot, the hammer. Ice rod was a thing of its own as well if you didn't have hookshot, and yeah, it was a weird seed. And Pod again having all the value. But yeah, I mean, so just to finish up, so yeah, what essentially happened was, because of that death, Walther, you got the hammer at Aegina's Cave. fylion finished the fake flipper and got the Titan's mitts at Zora, and that kind of, I mean, early on it really didn't affect your routing, but it certainly led to some different choices that kind of affected where the routing took you guys. I was probably gonna go Aegina anyways, but because I set up for it by not checking the dam. But yeah, I was like, well, let's just wait until I have bows so I can do Ancilla or flippers before going to Catfish, and then never got any of those. I was like, well, okay. So that, but I guess the other fun thing we have to talk about is that Turtle Rock, though. that ice rod being on the shovel spot with it being in Turtle Rock, that's never fun.
Yeah, the especially when you didn't have hookshot, because you can't even, like, as soon as you get the ice rod, you can't even go back, because you're gonna lose your portal if you go back without the hookshot.
So, I mean, with that, Walther, that second win does move you on to the next round, and from what chat was telling me, I believe that is going to be,
Sabatender.
Yeah, Sabatender coming in.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough match. I mean, every match is tough, but looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. I already way far ahead when what I thought I would do in this tourney, so I'll just take it game by game, trying to maybe snag one more.
Yeah. All right, and so there is Walther finishing up Aga or Ganon, meh. So just waiting for the fanfare, get through the door, and Walther, you have officially finished with an SRL time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 11 seconds, and you're on to the next round.
Thanks. I'll drop out because there's a new game coming up, right? But thanks everyone who made the restream happen, and have a good time at GDQ Final.
Yo, thanks, man. Good luck.
Any fylion, any final thoughts from you before we wrap up shop here?
Play more video games.
That's always the case. All right. Well, again, thanks to both fylion and Walther IV for the great race that they put on for us. That, I believe, is going to do it for us. We've got another race coming in right after this. I think it's actually just about to start. So Ral and Tanker, any final thoughts from you before we wrap up shop?
Just that it was fun to do commentary with you. It was a great race with an unfortunate ending for one of our runners. But yeah, thanks to all participants here, and yeah, enjoy the next one.
Yep, enjoy the next one. That's going to do it for us. fylion, Walther IV, Ral and Tanker, D2 Kempstar Tracker. I am Jex Reffi. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next mission. On to the next race.